All right, today we are joined by the Canadian Promoting Owner of the Year, Tyler Martin, and maybe I should say back-to-back Promoting Owner of the Year. Is that how you want to be introduced?
Hey, soon to be three time, I feel like. That's what the manifestation.
Oh, I like it. I like it. And so right before I hit the record button, we were talking about your Kobe Bryant mural right behind you. And so, you referenced the Mamba mentality and you said Kobe was your favorite player. You want to just kind of talk a little bit here about Mr. Kobe Bryant, then I'll get into some of your stats.
Yeah, I think to me, what really separated Kobe from everyone else is the work ethic. And I think you even asked me, like, what's working well for you? I think work ethic was everything. So I remember, like, growing up and, training basketball in my basement because I was a big basketball fan. And I always wanted to get an edge over opponents and things like that. So, growing up, I used to go home after like a game and I would go home and practice because I would think, how can I get an edge and how can I get one step better? Because typically after a long game, a championship game, you probably want to go home and rest. And to try to get that competitive advantage over people, I would literally work out consistently to try to get better. So to me, what Mamba mentality is just waking up every single day with a purpose to try to get one step better. Not putting a timeline on greatness in a sense. It's like, if every day I can get a little bit better over time, I'll be great. And to me, that's what I try to do every day, whether it's workshops, interviews, sales. How do I get better at my business?
Mm,
That's what Mamba mentality is for me, is
mm,
trying to outwork everyone else.
that's awesome. In all the youth sports that I coach, I've been coaching youth sports for probably 11 years now in Orange County. And I always introduce the three core values that I want with all the kids. I'm like, okay, listen, fun. If we're not having fun, if somehow we've lost that, then we need to fire the coaching staff, AKA, me. Got to get rid
Yeah.
of me and whoever is associated with me. Two is character. You should be becoming a better person. Your parents should notice you're kinder and you've just got some character development going on. So that's a value. And the third one is winning. And we define winning by Mamba mentality. You're just a little bit better today than you were yesterday, but not as good as you're going to be tomorrow. And so I hope there's a bunch of youngins all around Orange County here that, really understand that Mamba mentality. So I love that you embrace that. And obviously it shows in your results here. So let me just get into some of your stats because I think it's quite impressive. And it was great seeing you in Montreal, obviously. And you stole the show. I mean, no big surprise. I mean, you're kind of the heavyweight champion of the world in Canada right now. But here's the stats. You've got seven owners in your org. You're
Yeah.
doing around $80,000 a week in production. So you're knocking on the door of an OC promotion here, which is pretty cool. $1 million club, 3 years running. And like you said, you're going to try to repeat for promoting owner of the year. So what do you credit all this success to? I mean, and you've only been in the business for how long now
November will be 3 years. November will be 3 years.
as an owner?
As an owner, yeah.
And how long in the field?
I've been in the field. I started back in 2021, but I was part of that COVID team that, basically 2 years in Canada, we took a break.
Yeah,
So I restarted my whole entire owner push and everything back in 2022, and I got my ICL code in November of 2022 finally again.
I mean, that's amazing. And in America, when we think COVID, we're like, oh yeah, March, April, May, everything was shut down. And then we're kind of coming, out of our homes with the masks. And that's kind of the COVID recovery in America. But in Canada, you guys were open and closed, open and closed. I think you went through that four times over a
Yep.
2 year span. Like
Mhm.
you just had a different set of rules. And so again, to say you started in 2021, like, I mean, you were
Yeah.
you were handcuffed. You had your left hand tied behind your back for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But for 3 years, you've been running your office, and now your org does, between $4 to $5 million a year in production, which is pretty awesome. And again, before I pass that on to you, like, hey, what do you think's working for you? We'll get into that. But it was cool in Montreal, uh, on stage. I think it was John or somebody was talking about how your dad joined the business. And I
Yeah.
looked behind me and I could tell it was your dad because he looks, actually, I said to your dad, like, you look just like Tyler. And he reminded me, he goes, no, Tyler looks just like me. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, duh. Right. So, but he's a spitting image of you, or you're a spitting image of your old man. But your
Yeah.
dad was so intrigued with your success that he decided to join the business. So again, long introduction, but kind of tell us what's working for you. Tell us about this dad story, and your dad's about to be running an office in Halifax soon. So give us the story.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing about what's been working for me and the success, I mentioned it a lot, but I talked the first thing is the work ethic. I mentioned in my text to you, I'm, I think 6 years in. I think my first year as a rep was in 2018 actually, not 2021. Um, but I think it's the work ethic in the 6, 7 years I've been in the business, still haven't missed a day. I show up to the office no matter what. If I'm feeling down, I just want to be reliable. I think one of the things that young guys don't have, or they don't have the respect right away, is the reliability aspect. And I think in this business, when you're working with some of our biggest clients, when you have a great partner like Sidcore, you need to show them how reliable you are, how good your work ethic is. Aside from skill and things like that, I always say, can we rely on you to be there? So I think showing up every single day in my office, no matter what, coming in sick, coming in the days that you not feel good. Everyone shows up when they feel great, but who doesn't, who shows up when they're not feeling good? I think that's what separated me to get promoted and to get the success. I think my ability to, or my definition of success has helped me along the way. I truly believe that you're not successful until your success has touched other people. And when I look at the best guys in our business, like you, like the Johns, like the Wiggins, and the best guys, it's not how great of a sales rep you were, not how great of an owner you were. It's about how many other people you made great around you. So I think that's the message that I wake up and tell myself on a daily basis, where it's like, how can I make other people better? And then on top of that, how do I make myself better? Because one of the things that I will relate to my success is the fact that I'm always willing to, innovate in my business. I don't think like I know everything. I've got an opportunity to go on some top 10 trips over the last couple of years. And every single year I come back and I steal a little bit of something that one of the top guys are doing and I bring it back home. And I never think, oh, I'm running a good office. I know the right answers. I have everything. I'm always looking to try to get better. And I think sometimes when we're at, I wouldn't say the top, but when we're at a level of success where people are start to like, give us, our props and our flowers, we start to then try to coast. For me, I'm like, I'm still not where I want to be. There's still levels, there's still, levels to climb and things that I can to get my business better. And I think me always looking to do things like I've switched my schedule, maybe not a good thing, a couple times this year. Started my days earlier to increase field time. And I've done this because I've talked to other owners that are successful that are doing this, and I'm not afraid to change what I'm currently doing to try to get better. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Some people they're just stuck in their own way. I'm always looking to try to, take good from everyone and try to create a masterpiece.
Hmm.
Um, the dad thing, I think you kind of nailed it. I'm like, funny enough, my sister's my recruiter. My dad is gonna get promoted. A lot of my friends have now joined the business, and the first thing you're probably gonna think is like he must go to his family reunion and try to convince everyone to join the business. But that's actually the opposite of what I do. I have a lot of personal recruits, but I never actually like to, sell my friends or family on the business. And when I what I mean by that is I like to just do my best and try and let other people get interested in what I'm doing. So my dad, if you look, my dad tells a good story, but I'll kind of tell you what he says. My dad saw me join the business, 21-year-old kid, good at basketball, maybe not the most organized at the start. I had leadership skills, but I didn't have really the ability to run a business. And he saw me change from year one to year two to year three. He saw my confidence level change. He's seen how I treated people. He's seen, how much I was really growing. And, him being a young father, my dad's still like 48 years old, he got attracted to that. And he said, listen, if you could change for the better and you could become this person, um, why can't I? And when I talked to him, there was kind of a good opportunity where we had leadership problems in one of my offices. We wanted somebody to, come in and set the standards and lead from the front. Um, I just kind of said, hey, would you be interested in potentially joining the business? I know it's something we've talked about before, kind of jokingly. He always would say, "Oh, I think I would, do a better job running an office than you." He's like a lot of the sales stuff you get are from me. He's like, you know that, right? Because I mean, you have that type of relationship, and it is true. My dad growing up to me was a big inspiration. He would always like send me motivational quotes and things like that, so he was always kind of like similar to the business. I think him becoming a father early on, maybe limited him to maybe even getting exposed to the business. He never got an opportunity. I think I got lucky because I found the business so young and it was just such a good fit. And I love the culture. I love the competitiveness of it. I love the people. And I think I got lucky and found it earlier. And we had a great opportunity where he was like, I don't mind hitting the field. He's 48. He's doing door-to-door sales for the first time. It's not easy, right? And he has to build a team. And funny enough, I'm the one who trained him. So he's getting trained by his son. And I think since he has such a good student mentality like myself, and I think that's why I have a student mentality. He said, you're one of the top guys. I want to learn from you. Take the father-son relationship out of it. I'm here to learn from you. I want to know everything you're doing right, and I want to do it copy and paste. And literally 3 months later, he had a team of 10 reps. His team was doing like 10K wires alone. He was hitting the field, high rolling, and doing all the right things. And then we brought him to the first conference in the US, and he's like, wow, I met so many good people, Gary, John, and everyone treated him so well. And he just at that point was like, why didn't I find the business earlier? I wish I found it earlier, right? And I think a lot of us feel like that. Um, whether you found it really early or whether you found it later in your life. But I think that's I think that's why he joined the business. And from what he told me, just like seeing how much I developed as a person and how much I learned. And then of course he always makes the joke, I pulled up in a Mercedes. My son pulled up in a Mercedes for the first time to my house. He's like, all right, I need to know what you're doing. Um,
Mm.
but to give you an idea, I think he was parents are a little skeptical at the start. I think they always it's the way you talk to your parents. I was 21 and I came home and I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna be an owner. And then your parents are like, what? You're not gonna be an owner? Like, and I think your parents they're always just trying to make you take the safe route on things. And they always think things are too good to be true. But when things actually become true, then they become interested. And now they, eventually join the business.
Well, there's a lot to unpack here. I got a handful of thoughts I
Yeah.
want you to go down. So one with your dad joining the business. I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time in history where somebody has recruited a parent, and now the parent is about to become an owner in the company. Now Benny Madrid recruited his son, and his son is now an owner in the company. But so that happened, I think, last year, and now
Yep.
you're doing it. But I think there's something interesting in that because I mean, your dad saw some really positive changes in you, and I think that's the key because if anybody's got negative parents, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head where maybe you're over promoting the business or something like that, but if they see how, your confidence, they see that you're kind, pulling up in a Mercedes doesn't hurt, it's kind of like, okay, there's some proof that this thing is
Yeah.
working. But I think the change really should be the goal for people that, hey, if you want support from your family, your loved ones, kind of like my rules with or my values with coaching youth sports, like character development, like your parents should see that you're a more kind individual. You work hard at school and you're trying harder to get good grades. I think that's the important part that they see changes in you. Anything you want to touch upon that?
Yeah, like you just hit it right on the nail. Like that's what he said. He's like you're a better person overall. You're disciplined. You know, I used to have to wake you up in the morning to get you to go to school. Now you're up earlier. You're always on time. You're no you care for people more. He's like you used to be that I was like that guy who scored 30 points and never liked to pass, and now I like to make other people look better than me. And he's seen that type of personal growth from me. Like you said, all the extra things are just a bonus. But if you really want to, I know a lot of people in this business, they always come to me now and they're like, well, how do I talk to my parents? And I'm like, there's nothing that you could really say to convince your parents that this is the right business. I think you just have to show them the person that you're becoming, and they'll have their own opinion on that. If your parents look at you and they see you becoming a nicer person, more disciplined. They see you dressing well every morning. They see your communication skills getting better. They see your leadership skills getting better. They're just going to say, you know what, this is the right thing. I'm happy where my son or daughter is at the moment, and I support that because what our parents want most is yeah, they want us to maybe be successful, but they want us to be happy and they want us to be a good person and they want to see us grow and develop. And I think workshops every single day coming in, being surrounded by that type of environment for 2 to 3 years, no matter how negative you are, what background you came from originally, I think once again, you're a product of your surroundings and then eventually become the person that you want to be and everyone likes being around.
Hmm. And I'm impressed with your dad's, humility because a lot of parents don't really want to listen to their kids, especially, you're an authority figure,
Yeah.
you were your dad's boss, so to speak. A lot of parents don't want to listen to the kid because, like, dude, I know all your flaws. I mean, who are you to tell me anything? But the fact that he, like, listen, he took a really good look at the business, to say, hey, obviously you're the best in the business, in Canada. I want to learn from you. I'm impressed with his humility and his willingness to humble himself. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
to switch gears on the Kobe front, this could be an interesting question for you. Obviously I moved to LA the same year Kobe moved to LA. I felt this really interesting bond that here's this rookie Kobe trying to make it happen in the big city. I'm a rookie trying to make it happen in the big city. And so, I just loved Kobe Bryant.
Mhm.
Um, well, so part of his habits, right? He'd win a championship or, go into the playoffs, maybe wouldn't win a championship. He'd go to Cabo. This was always his routine. He'd go to Cabo in Mexico for like 4 days to just kind of relax, unwind, and then he's back to the grind.
Yep.
And when I say back to the grind, I mean anybody that knew Kobe knew the grind started at 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, like craziness. A lot of people had a hard time keeping up to him. You watch the Redeem team, it's kind of like, oh, Kobe Bryant's going down the elevator to work out, and we're going up the elevator to after a night of partying. Maybe we should rethink how we're playing on Team USA.
Mhm.
Um, so Phil Jackson was asked years ago, "Hey, you coached Michael Jordan, you coached Kobe Bryant. What's the difference between the two?" And what's interesting, both Kobe and Michael had the same issue from Phil Jackson's perspective. He just thought that Michael Jordan figured it out a little sooner,
Mhm.
was the leadership muscle. That
Mhm.
both of these guys were so obsessed with being, they were perfectionists, right? They wanted to perfect their craft. And how do you relate to people on your team where, you're showing up for the preseason workout and your teammates are 10 pounds overweight and you're like, 10 pounds overweight? I've been working out all summer. What are you talking about? Like, you just
Yeah.
started, like, you took 3 months off. I took 3 days off. and they had
Hmm.
a really hard time relating to the mere mortals. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, you got a big org, you get 7 owners in your
Yeah.
organization. Obviously, you got some studs on your team. You've got the Mamba mentality. You're the Kobe Bryant in Canada. Well, how do you make sure that your guys, like you still relate to the mere mortals, and how do you help them elevate their game if they're not necessarily? I bet you if I went on to Zoom, how many of them have Kobe Bryant in the backdrop? You're
Yeah.
probably the only one.
Yeah. Honestly, that you this is actually one of the best questions I always get asked because this was the first thing that I struggled with. I'll even take it back to the entry level days. Like I was the number one rep in the country in telecom. I would, I broke the campaign record. I sold 101 products doing door to door, and I would take out a lot of people in the field and I would show them 500, $600 days, which, 5, 6 years ago would be $1,000 days now. And I would go to them and I'm like, perfect. Can you do this? Let's get you started. And nobody would show up. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm like showing guys $1,000 days. I'm showing them how quote unquote easy the business was or simple the business was. And nobody was joining I couldn't add anyone to my team. And I think a lot of the times when you show like a lot of your skill versus you just show systems, then most people won't relate to that. So I had to kind of like take it back a notch as a leader, and I had to, walk away from sales that I knew I could close. I would just say the same thing at every single door. I wouldn't be the charismatic, outgoing, typical sales guy that I am. I wouldn't be as persistent as I would want to be at some places. And I wanted to show people that systems do work. So I think it kind of relates to me as an owner. Like I want when I'm training someone and when I'm preparing an assistant manager, I want to get them to understand that they can be successful without, maybe not putting as many hours into the business as, maybe I do. Because, to be honest, I eat, sleep, and breathe the business at this point. Like when I go home, I'm on calls with the West guys in BC in the Western time zone until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. But I also I kind of like show the guys like, hey, this is the schedule that you should follow. And I kind of give them the key tips on what to focus on to be successful, which I literally think the business is as simple as this: recruit, train, sell. Recruit, train, sell. Recruit, train, sell. And when you kind of dumb it down into like a rookie owner's point of view, is every morning you should be recruiting new candidates. Um, when all the reps get there, you should be training them, making sure they know their product, making sure they know their pitch, making sure they know everything about the business, and then going to the field yourself and leading from the front and showing them that the business is as simple as it can be. Don't make it difficult. So I think what I really try to do to my org, because I've had issues where and you mentioned I've had issues over the last couple of years where I promoted people and I don't understand why they don't get it. And maybe you like it's simple, like just show up to your office every day, run a really good meeting, bring the energy, hit the field. And sometimes it is hard for me to understand why people don't get it. Um, but I do understand that not everybody is going to be me. Not everyone is going to have the motivation that I do. So as long as I can kind of figure out what that person is and use my coaching style to get the most out of them, I think that's what's been working well for me to help coach people because I learned this lesson when I was younger. Me and my brother are complete opposites. My dad used the same coaching style for me and my brother. Call them out and get on you. If you're messing up, he's going to tell you you're messing up. I react to that in a positive way. My little brother doesn't, he's not motivated from somebody screaming at him and get him disciplined. So to me, how I try to elevate people and get them to the next level is understanding what type of person that person is and what coaching styles can I use to motivate them and let them become the best version of themselves. Because I think as a sales coach and a sales leader, the best sales coaches and sales leaders are the people that are able to adjust, to people that are able to figure out what the team really needs, what their people really needs. And if you're just have one style of coaching, you'll attract certain people. But how do you build an organization of hundreds of people? You need to be able to relate to every single person. You need to be able to have different coaching styles. And I think that's what I'm really trying to learn at this point in my career. I think promoting owner is one of my first step challenges to try to get to consultant. It's how do I make everyone that isn't me still be great and still hit their numbers and their goals? And I think that's just still something I'm learning.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Well, you're doing well in that department. I can tell you with Kobe, just to again, I watched all the games, and
yeah.
when Shaq left and it's now Kobe's team, it's like, okay, well, good luck winning a championship without Shaq. But that's really when Kobe's leadership muscles went to a different level. And you could even see, the little, pats on the butt, in the players, the intense, poking of the chest with Paul Gasol and stuff like that. Like he just became a master of building people's confidence.
That's it.
And so when they made a good shot or they executed the way they were supposed to execute, Kobe caught them doing things right. And they
Mhm.
wanted to do that more because they wanted a nice compliment from, the goat of the game, or at least the guy who's trying his heart out to win his fourth championship. And so, yeah, Kobe
Absolutely.
was he figured that out. It's really building other people's confidence and helping them hit their maximum potential, not helping
Mhm.
them hit your potential. No, it's
No,
helping them hit their maximum potential is what he was great at. So, yeah,
I
Mamba.
think you hit it on the nail. That's exactly it.
And one thing I posted this on X. You said this, and I wanted to catch it because I saw this quote, and I'm like, oh, this is worth saying, and I think you can identify with this. Commitment means staying loyal to what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left you.
I
Right?
like
So here you are, you've never missed a day at work, and so
it.
there are plenty of days you're walking into your office not motivated, whether it's minus 20,
Mhm.
whether, man, I lost half my office because of whatever may be. There are plenty of times we're emotional wrecks as owners.
Mhm.
Um, whether people know that or not. I mean, you've
Yeah.
got the stress of the office expenses, and there's times we come to work. I've told this to my kids. There's times I've gone to work and it cost me money to show up to work. Hard
Mhm.
for a young brain, like, so Dad, you have to pay them money when you showed up to work? I'm like, yeah, I'm running my business at a loss. That's what happens.
Yep.
So how do you overcome your emotions? I mean, what kind of gives you that extra gear that come rain or shine, you're showing up? And again, you kind of embody that quote I just rattled off.
Yeah, I think, you know, I always say this, we have a role to play. And I think that role is, when you're a father, your role is to be a father with your kids. When you're a business owner, your role is to show up for your people, work as hard as you possibly can, and give it your absolute all. So I think for me, I remember I learned this lesson actually when I was in high school. I was playing high school football, I was the captain, top running back of the team. And I came in one day with a very bad attitude. And my attitude was affected because I had some personal issues going on. And my football coach at the time, he came to me and he pulled me to a side. He's like, "This is not the Tyler I know." And I was like, "You know what? I'm just dealing with something personal." He's like, "Listen." He's like, "When you get around these, lines, these four lines, you need to block everything out." And he said, "Listen, this morning I was in the hospital with my 8-year-old daughter. She just got diagnosed with cancer." And he said to me at that time, he's like, "I use this to get my mind off everything. And whatever I'm dealing with in my personal life and my business life, when I step onto this field, everything else I stop forgetting about and I just try to enjoy myself." So when I that actually stuck with me up until this day because when I step into my office I think a lot of the times some owners may bring their personal life, they may bring their energy down, and they can tell their people can tell they're off. For me, I use the business as like my way where it's like all I want to do is be the best version I can in my office. I want to bring the energy, I want to affect people in a positive way. I want to be as confident and positive as I can. And anything else that I can't control at the moment, I can't let that affect me when I need to perform my best. So to me, how I try to deal with my emotions, which I'm still an emotional person, I'm still young, 28 years old in business. But I try to just forget everything that I can't control. And I try to just give my absolute 100% of what I can control. When I walk into my office, I can control my energy. I can control my attitude. I can control how I, motivate people and how much I can build my team up in their confidence. So I think don't a lot of the times don't bring anything personal or anything like that to your business. Use your business as your sanctuary to like, block everything out and just focus on what you can control.
Hmm.
And
I
that,
can see how that stuck with you because whatever's going on in your life, as you compare it to what your coach was going through, like,
yeah,
boy, do I feel like a loser. Like I'm not dealing with anything like that. Like, man, I got to suck it up. So I could see that sticking with
yeah.
you for
Like
your
an
whole life.
eye-opening thing is like I think I was upset at me and my high school girlfriend were angry, and I'm thinking, why am I bringing this bad energy to the place that we're all, here to try to win a championship? That was the goal, and we ended up winning the championship too. So, I think I bring that into the office every day.
Yeah,
That's how I kind of deal with my emotions. We're gonna get stressed. We're gonna have bad things happen. But what can we control?
yeah. Yeah, I think years ago I saw, Brett Favre he's known for many things, but one of the things was when I think his father passed away like unexpectedly, and he shows up in the dressing room for Monday Night Football, and the dressing room was very quiet because everybody's like, oh, Brett, nobody expected him to be there, and he just stands up and says, guys. I know you're all thinking about me, you're praying for me, and there is a time and a place to grieve. That time and place is not right now because right now I am the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers and I have a job to do. He threw for 5 touchdowns that day or that night, and then he went on to grieve and bury his dad and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, wow, here's a guy that knows how to control those emotions, and there's a time and a place to do that. So I've always thought of that, that if Brett Favre can compartmentalize like that and just sort of put that in a box and I'll deal with that later, well, then
Mhm.
certainly I can, win the day, whatever it has to be now, and deal with, that emotional stuff later. So sounds like your coach put you on that trajectory too.
Yeah, you tell a better story. That nails it that's right on the nail for me.
Yeah, Brett Favre. All right. Well, Tyler, listen, you're champ, dude. Am I going to see you in Mexico?
Gonna see me in Mexico. Um, yeah, gonna see me in Mexico, bringing a couple guys down. I wish there was something other than volleyball. The Canadians keep getting our butt kicked every year in the volleyball tournament.
We should play
Um,
hockey.
that's what play hockey, that's what they don't have any hockey or basketball. It's like volleyball, and I think me and Brad, you met Brad, we're gonna win the water pong competition this year.
Water
Uh,
polo. There you
yeah,
go.
well, they call it beer pong, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna win this year. I'm manifesting that.
Yeah. One of these minutes we should, I mean, it doesn't have to be ice hockey, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing a little floor hockey somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that would be fun. If John Black comes, he always talks a big game, and he's a good hockey player. He'd have to join too. He said
I
he'd
think
run circles around us.
I think John was a good hockey
Yeah, it
player.
was
Yeah, yeah, was.
Johnny Noir. I
Johnny Noir.
always call him Johnny Noir ever since he had the podcast with you. But
That's cool.
I'm always super grateful to talk to you, Jamie. I think you're a big inspiration, not only to people in this business, but I think people that just need, guidance and, they need tips on how to become successful. All of my guys in my org always are watching the head podcast, and it's something that I appreciate you doing because I always feel like, you're an older guy. It's like the older guys in the social media, and really providing valuable content for the young entrepreneurs of the business. And you might not, maybe you might not know, or you probably do know, but it's so valuable to everyone. And please keep doing it because it's helped me a lot. I've changed my interviews. I've changed how I talk to people because of your videos. So I want to give you your flowers for that.
My flowers. Well, I
Yeah,
appreciate that, Tyler. I mean, I've always been a good student. I've always had that going for me. And I guess as I've aged, it's fun for me now talking to a young guy in his late 20s that has, you got life by the cojones, like, good things are going to happen in your life from, getting married, being a father, being a successful, business owner. And I just love that stuff. I love seeing you guys just building successful lives,
yeah.
on every department. Like I just want to see you guys thrive and succeed. And so I just want to play my part. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes being that older guy, listen, if I'm not driving a fancy car, I can call you up and be like, Tyler, I saw you on Instagram with a Bentley. What are you doing, dude? Like you got to start funding your kids' college education. So I feel I can do that kind of stuff. And hopefully you listen when I give you that phone call. Right now, I haven't given you that call.
Yeah, I might need that call. But I thank you, and yeah, it's just keep exactly doing what you're doing. It helps everyone, and I want not one day, hopefully, I can be in your shoes and write my as soon as you came to NatCon and you told that story about the picture you drew, I came home and drew my picture. And I want to be able to tell that story in 10, 15 years that I manifest exactly what my life would be, and you inspired me to do it.
Oh, that's great. I think I'm going to do a hep huddle on that because I've drawn that picture so many times. I could whip it up in like 30 seconds from the redwood trees in the backyard, the three-car garage, the three children, the wife. Like I was pretty clear at a fairly young age. That's what I wanted, and I was just grateful that this business allows us to design a life. Like you think about it, like we should never take that for granted because there's a lot of career choices you could have made that like, well, design's a strong choice of words. You can't really design your like you can sort of, try to fit what you want within this box. But
Mhm.
in our business, we're like, no, there's no lids on these boxes. You can create whatever you want, whatever your lifestyle you want. Even people like um, Taylor Cherry, like he runs an office in Chicago and he lives in Lake Tahoe. Like I wouldn't have thought you could do something like that. So he lives in this beautiful part of the world running an office in Chicago. That's really impressive. Talk about designing a life. Like you can really, I've even considered like, could I live in Hawaii? I mean, I love Hawaii so much. Could I live in Hawaii and run an organization in, Canada and the United States? And I think the answer could be yes. But yeah, you can design it however you want to design it. So I'm happy to hear you were inspired by that. And I look forward to maybe you can draw your picture for me in Mexico. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely, I will. I already have it all, envision myself now. So, yeah.
Perfect. I want to
Thanks
see.
a lot, Jamie. I appreciate your time, and look forward to chatting with you again.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks for being on the call, and we'll see you in Mexico.
In Mexico. Thank you.